Have you ever stopped to think about your body as like the busiest city in the world? I mean, there are millions of chemical reactions firing off every single second. So how does it all just work? How does it avoid total chaos? Well, it turns out there's this incredibly elegant, self-regulating system in charge, kind of like a master conductor keeping the whole orchestra in perfect harmony. And we're going to dive into how it works.
So, think about your average day. Maybe you have a super salty lunch, you chug a giant bottle of water, and then you go for a really sweaty run. You're constantly throwing your internal environment for a loop. And yet, through all of that, you feel, well, pretty normal, right? How on earth does your body pull that off?
The answer is this one. Beautiful word, homeostasis. It is your body's master plan for staying in balance. It's like having a thermostat, a cruise control system, and a master chemist all rolled into one. And it's working 24/7 to keep things just right on the inside, no matter what you're doing on the outside. Okay, this diagram shows a perfect example of it in action. Your body temperature. You can see it right here. When your temperature starts to creep up, your internal control center kicks in and makes you sweat to cool down. And if you get too cold, it triggers shivering to warm you back up. This constant push and pull, it's called a negative feedback loop. It's a response that's always trying to get you back to your sweet spot, your set point. And it's pretty much the core engine of homeostasis. So if homeostasis is the goal, what part of your body is dealing with all that salt and water we were talking about earlier? Well, let's meet the unsung hero of your body's chemical and fluid balance, your filtration system.
And here it is, the urinary system. Now, we usually only think about it when we, have to go to the bathroom, but its real job is so much more critical. This system is basically a master chemist, taking out toxins, regulating your blood pressure, and fine-tuning your body's chemistry. And the stars of this whole operation? Yep, those two little bean-shaped organs right there, the kidneys.
Now, if we could slice a kidney open and look inside, you'd see it's not just some simple filter. It's this incredibly organized structure. You've got an outer part, the cortex, and an inner part, the medulla. Each little region is packed with all this specialized machinery, and it's all there for one vital mission, purifying your blood.
But to really, truly appreciate the genius of the kidney, we have to zoom in. I mean, way, way in. We need to find the tiny little functional unit where all the magic is actually happening.
1 million. Get this, that is roughly how many microscopic filtering units are crammed into each one of your kidneys. They're called nephrons. It's like a whole army of tiny purifiers, all working together at the same time.
And this right here is one of those little workhorses. Each nephron has two main parts. You've got the renal corpuscle, that's what does the first big filter. And then you have this long, windy road called the renal tubule, which processes everything that came through, deciding what your body should keep and what it needs to toss.
Okay, let's zoom in even more, right to the very beginning of the filtering process. See this tangled up little ball of capillaries? That's called the glomerulus. The best way to think of it is as a high-pressure sieve. Blood comes rushing in, and the pressure literally forces all the small stuff, like water, salts, glucose, and waste, out into the nephron. All the big things, like proteins and blood cells, they get left behind. Now, this whole process, it isn't just about draining out waste. Not at all. It's a highly sophisticated three-step mission to create urine that is perfectly designed for what your body needs in that exact moment. So here's the game plan, right? You've got filtration, then reabsorption, and finally secretion. Your kidneys are running through this sequence over and over, all day, every day, to keep your internal world in that perfect homeostatic balance.
First up, filtration. This is what's happening back in the glomerulus. It's kind of like cleaning out a really cluttered closet by just dumping everything out onto the floor. The system just pushes all the small stuff out of the blood so it can be sorted through later.
And now for the really smart part, reabsorption. So once everything's on the floor, you go back and pick up all the good stuff you want to keep, right? That's exactly what the body does. As all that filtered fluid travels down the tubule, the body goes shopping. It actively pulls back everything it needs. Glucose for energy, vitamins, and, most importantly, just the right amount of water. It is the body's ultimate recycling program.
And finally, we have secretion. This is the last quality check. The blood vessels that are wrapped around the tubule, they actively dump any leftover waste products or drugs that might have escaped the first filter. It's like the final cleanup crew, making absolutely sure nothing bad gets left behind. And this diagram just pulls it all together so nicely. You can see the filtrate getting made right here in what's called the Bowman's capsule. Then, as it snakes its way through this super long tubule, all the good stuff gets pulled back into the blood while extra waste gets added in, creating the final product.
So, how well does this whole system actually work? Well, this little table tells the entire story. Just look at glucose and protein. Your body reclaims 100% of it, absolutely none of it makes it into the urine. But now look at urea, a major waste product. It goes from a teeny tiny 0.03% in your blood to a full 2% in your urine. That's a concentration increase of more than 60 times. I mean, that's just a stunning display of efficiency. This system is incredible. It really is. But it's not invincible. So what happens when this critical purification plant starts to break down?
Well, that's what we call kidney failure. It's a really serious condition where the kidneys just can't filter waste from the blood effectively anymore. When their function drops below 15%, all that waste and extra fluid builds up to dangerous levels, and it throws your body's homeostasis completely out of whack. And when the body's own system fails, we have to rely on some pretty amazing human ingenuity. On the left, you're seeing hemodialysis, which uses an external machine, basically an artificial kidney, to clean the blood. And on the right is something called peritoneal dialysis, which cleverly uses the lining of a person's own abdomen as a natural filter. For people with end-stage kidney disease, though, the most effective long-term solution is a kidney transplant. That's where a healthy kidney from a donor is surgically placed inside the body to take over the vital job of the failed kidneys.
To really put all of this into perspective, I want to leave you with one last just mind-boggling number. 180 liters. That is the amount of fluid your kidneys filter from your blood every single day. That is almost 50 gallons. Just an absolutely incredible amount of work. So the next time you eat a meal or have a glass of water, just remember this amazing balancing act. Your two small kidneys are working tirelessly, filtering your entire blood volume hundreds of times a day just to maintain that delicate equilibrium we call life. It's an unbelievable system, and it's happening right now, inside you. So the only question left is, what are you going to do to thank them?